When we first read Genesis, we mostly read it as the history of Israel, not much as our own personal history. In fact, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. In the beginning, God also created me. Everything begins with God. My beginning should also be God's beginning. God has begun, and everything is in God's blessing. And if I want to start first, it is easy to fail. So when I read Genesis, when I read it as God's Genesis for me, I will have my light, my morning, my life, my bones of my bones, and my Abraham. The book of Exodus that follows is a record of the Exodus out of Egypt and out of the Old World. In fact, in Genesis, God has continuously rescued people from Egypt. In the 6th chapter, God saves Noah's family from the world that is about to be destroyed. When Noah built the ark, he was actually leaving Egypt, and he was far away from the local people year after year in his heart. In chapter 11, mankind is arrogantly trying to build the Tower of Babel, but God confounds the language of mankind while choosing Abram and making him Abraham. In chapter 12, God told Abram to leave the local family and his father's house and go to the blessed land of Canaan. The seeds of entering Canaan were planted here. In chapter 19, God rescues Lot from Sodom. In chapter 31, God reminds Jacob to flee from Laban, return to the land of your ancestors and your father, which is still Canaan, and promises I will be with you. In the last chapter of Genesis, Jacob, who was in Egypt, asked Joseph to swear to bury him back to Canaan before his death. Joseph also prophesied before his death that his brothers would be led by God to leave Egypt and enter Canaan. They were going to carry Joseph's bones from Egypt to Canaan. Theological theology has a principle of first appearance in the Bible, that is, a theme that keeps appearing in the Bible, and we need to find the place where it first appears in the Bible. And this place is its origin, and what follows will not contradict itself. Half the themes in the Bible appear for the first time in Genesis, so Genesis is the nursery for the whole Bible. In the end, we still have to remind ourselves, on the surface, these are ancient histories and other people's stories, but in fact, these are the realities that continue to happen today, and they are stories of God's continuous salvation of me. Leave the world where the flood is about to hit, leave the Tower of Babel, leave Sodom, leave Laban, leave Egypt, and enter God's salvation.